Pittsburgh Steelers fans, it is time once again for Tales from 2 a.m. My name is Brian Anthony Davis, the podcast producer here at BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. And alongside with me is a peek into the future, what I'm going to look like 30 years from now. Well, actually, let's say 25 years from now, because Dad's only 24 years older than me. My father, William Leonard Davis. Dad, how are you today?
I'm pretty good. How about you, Brian?
Really good. So, hey, once again, it's Father's Day week. If you have not had a chance to check out all the other shows on the audio platform called Dads, Their Kids, and the Steelers, well, what we need you to do is check that out because it's a lot of fun. It really is. Look, there's so much going on in Steeler Nation. You are going to hear it all week long, every single week, whether it be Let's Ride, whether it be the Scobro Show, the Stat Geek, whether it be the Live Mic, the Steelers Hangover. We're going to have so many shows. The Curtain Call, Matty Peverell Show, Touchdown Under, Matty Peverell and Mark Davison, but Matty Peverell's solo show too called The Cap Rube. So it's something you're going to get all kinds of Steeler stuff. So Dad, I want to tell you this. We had one viewer last week said, what's the deal with all these Father's Day shows, all this family stuff? And we had the father of number 56 for the Steelers, Alex Highsmith. We had his dad, Sam Highsmith, on the show on Tuesday on the Scobro Show. So a lot of people a lot of people loved it, and we love that you love it. Hey, this might not be for you. You might want straight Steeler news, and we get it. And I appreciate somebody saying that. But as long as you're checking us out, we appreciate it. On Touchdown Under, Dad, I got to tell you this. So on the Australian show yesterday, somebody went in the live chat and they said the worst show is Tales from 2 a.m. It's boring. I hate it. I hate bad show. And you know what that said to me? That said to me this. We've got another fan. We've got somebody listening. So we have 11 podcasters here, and if I'm your least favorite podcaster, I'm fine with that, because as long as you're checking us out on BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, that's all that matters. So with everything going on this week in Steeler Nation with mandatory minicamp, we've talked about that all week. We can continue to talk about that. If you do have questions, feel free. But we're going to talk about Father's Day and just family and the Steelers. Now, we talked a little bit about last week about bleeding black and gold and what it means to do that. But what I wanted to do is I just wanted to talk about my Steeler fandom and how it all came about. And it all came first with my dad over here. Dad, let me ask you this. When was our first game together? Do you remember?
No, but it was probably when you were about 7 or 8, 79, 80 series.
It was actually 82. It was December 5th of 82. You brought it home for what was my 11th birthday, and my birthday being on December 3rd. So we got to go to the Kansas City Chiefs and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Got to see Bradshaw throw a bomb, Harris score a touchdown, Donnie Shell make an interception. We got to see Lambert and Webster and all those guys play, and it was great. And I remember just being in awe. And something happened on the way home. Do you even remember that?
No, but you've reminded me a couple of times.
So there was a car in a ditch, and you pulled it out. And while I sat in the car after watching my heroes in black and gold play, and I got to see you do that. And I thought it was pretty neat that you stopped and helped pull the car out. I know we had a Chevy Blazer at the time, and I know you helped him out with that. But so that's something that just remains in my memory. So I'm going to try to jog your memory. It's not as good as mine. So let me ask you this. You took me to about 3 or 4 Steeler games, and Steeler games were hard to come by in the 80s and in the early 90s. And then I became able to take you to games. And one game in particular I know is going to stand out, and I want you to talk about that. And it's November 22nd of 1992. Do you remember that day?
Oh, yeah. What was great about that is we had you work for the ABC affiliate in Johnstown, and you were going to film a game, and you took me along, and you took the company car, and people were waving at us. It was just a neat experience. Then we went in and got our tickets and went to the press box, ate like everything that there was to eat. There was so much food there.
Well, they had a great buffet for the press before the game. It was awesome.
It sure was. And then I got to sit up in the press box. And
what, was I there with you?
No, you were down on the field.
I got banished to the field. Great seats though for me.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there, and the guy comes up to me. I'm sitting at one of the tables, and there was a guy from the Pittsburgh area who was a reporter. And the guy came up and says, "You're a reporter? Are you going to report the game?" And I says, "Yeah." And he says, "Well, where's your pad and pencil?" And the guy beside me says, "He has a pad and pencil," and he handed it to me. So I started writing down every play, and we got to the end of the first quarter, and lo and behold, someone starts announcing every play that was done, and I had done all that work for nothing.
They gave you a handout. They had it all. I mean, what they give to the press is actually really cool.
So you didn't need a pen and pencil in the first place, so a pad. So it was just great. And then halftime, there was hot dogs and chips and burgers and that was just to hold you over.
And I didn't get any of that. On the field, they gave us this little box lunch, which was fine because I love being on the field. I was actually in the Pirates locker room.
Yeah.
It might have been the visiting locker room. But the one thing you didn't do is, because they don't let you do this, how hard was it not to cheer? Because they don't let you cheer in the press box.
Oh, it wasn't hard for me because I always pay attention to what's going on. So the cheering aspect wasn't a problem for me. But watching you down there, and I'm watching, and you got run over by a player. I don't even remember who it was.
Dwight Stone. And I've talked to Dwight Stone since, and he even wrote on my 8x10, "I'm sorry I almost hit you on the end zone." When I told him what happened, he was devastated. And I'm like, first of all, Dwight, we were probably the same size at that time, because Dwight was a small guy, and Dwight Stone's an amazing man. He retired from the NFL and went back to Charlotte and was on the police force for many a year, and just retired about a year ago. I'd love to get him on the show. I talked to him about getting him on the show. Maybe that'll happen someday. But I ran away, Dad. I could have taken the hit, but I was also I wasn't wearing black and gold because I was wearing my fraternity jacket, and all my fraternity brothers were watching the game. And I knew that if I got run over wearing that jacket, that I would never live it down. But I recently found a clip. I was watching the old game on McMillan and Wife, and I was able to see the play. So I'll see if I can pull it up. It's not as egregious as I remember, but I did run away. But you always told me never to have regrets. And so I don't have regrets, but one thing that I do regret is that I didn't just absorb and take the hit. I think that would have been more manly. Would have that been dumb, or would have you yelled at me if I took the hit instead of running away?
Oh, no, I would. Either way, it would have been fine with me. But, when you think about getting injured when you could have avoided, I would have said, running away wasn't such a bad thing.
I still should have taken the hit, but I knew you would say that. So, Dad, I'm gonna bring something up that I don't know if you even remember, and I'm gonna jog your memory here. Do you remember when you were mistaken for a part of the 1979 Steelers?
Oh yeah, that was in Disney World.
Hey, before you tell the story, how tall were you back then? And
I was 6 foot.
probably about 240.
Yeah, 230, 240.
And so those guys, you got to understand, that was kind of normal.
Yeah.
For players back then. And so why were you mistaken for a part of the Steelers?
Well, first of all, I had a Steeler watch on.
And it was not just a Steeler watch; it was like Super Bowl champions.
Yeah, there was 4 Super Bowl champion things on there, and the people who thought I was a Steeler were from Detroit. I had a little boy and a mother looked like a mother who was raising the son by herself, and I actually sent them the Pittsburgh Pirate hat.
Because they were Pittsburgh fans. Because well, you got to think. We were there in 1980, and the Pirates had just won the championship in '79, and the Steelers. Okay, no, this was actually we were there in December of '80, so this would have been a year after. So the Pirates had won the year before, but so they were big Pittsburgh fans, and you did set them straight, saying, "Oh no, you're not a Steeler."
No, absolutely not. No. That's one thing I've never done. I never misrepresent myself. If I did it, I'll tell you. If I didn't, you're not going to ever know that I did it because I don't misrepresent.
What was your earliest Steeler memory, and when did you realize you were a Steelers fan, and how did you get into them?
Well, I remember liking the Los Angeles Rams. And I remember standing on our porch in Johnstown, and my dad was there, and he says, "Why would you like the Los Angeles Rams?" Well, I like the horns and the colors and all that, and it didn't have a lot to do with the football. It was image. And after that, I started thinking about, well, maybe I should be, cheering for the hometown team. And it comes natural after that.
That's funny because we had Sam Highsmith on the Scobro show, and he grew up as a Rams fan too. And he was talking about how he liked the Steelers a lot as well, but when they were playing, because they beat the Cowboys, but when they played in Super Bowl 14 against the Rams, that he had to root for the Rams, but he really respected the Steelers. So that's really interesting. Let me ask you this, Dad. You went to a Super Bowl, and I'm not going to tell the Terry Bradshaw story. I'm not going to tell the story about you taking Mom instead of me, and Terry, giving me the business for it, which just happened a couple years ago. That was pretty awesome, though. The reason I'm not going to tell that story, they've heard it a million times. They could live chat. Tell me this. You could write it in there. You could probably tell my stories now at this point. And so I'm going to try to come up with some new stuff. But I want to talk about the plane ride. Mom wanted you to dress differently.
Well, we had a business at that time. And she always, when we went on business trips, she wanted me to look the business type. It was completely different wardrobe at that time. You don't see a lot of suits now, but it was commonplace. But when we were getting ready to go, she said, "I'd like you to wear a suit on the plane." I says, "I don't have a problem with that. But the first thing that you're going to see when we get to the airport is a guy with a Steeler helmet, a hard hat, with a propeller on the top." And she laughed and giggled, and we got there at 6:00 in the morning. And we're getting ready to go.
This was the Friday before the Super Bowl,
right? And the first thing we saw was a guy with a hard hat with 3 Iron City beer cans glued to the top of it. And I said, "What did I tell you?" But I didn't have a problem with that. The problem with the suit is the plane was LA-based airplane. And there was 450 people on the aircraft. 300 of them were Steeler fans.
Is that a double decker?
No, it wasn't.
Wow, that's a huge plane.
But there was 2 seats on each side and 7 or 8 in the middle.
Oh, okay.
It was an L-1011. And I don't know that they even fly them anymore.
I've never heard of an L-1011.
Well,
see what you learn on Tales from 2 a.m.
And I don't stay up that late anymore. But anyway, we were sitting there, and they started playing the Steeler fight song, and people would just, the whole flight were running around in circles on the airplane, and a guy that had a bow tie on that was about 3 foot wide. It said defense. And I mean, the whole thing, it was just something that looked like came out of central casting, because you wouldn't think that all that actually happened, but it did. But people thought I didn't think I was a part of it because I was wearing this suit. They thought I was an LA person because people were coming back home, from business trips. It was very interesting.
Dad, I got to show you here. I don't know if you're able to read on the right side. We've got a lot of people saying Happy Father's Day to you and welcoming you to the show. So that's awesome. I really appreciate it. We've got a super chat. Do you know what a super chat is?
No, I don't.
All right. That's when they pay us money.
Oh.
To no, you don't get any.
Okay.
YouTube takes half of it, but they pay to get to the top of the queue, and it's very it's something special when they do that. And if I do miss a super chat ever, I do apologize, especially to Snowman, who I've missed it. I may have missed a super chat. So Snowman, you get a freebie today if you're on there. But Mark Davison is from Australia. He is one of our guys on Touchdown Under. On the Australian show. I don't know if you've ever had a chance to listen to it, but
I have.
You have. So Matt Peverell and Mark Davison, and they did Father's Day shows this week. You'll have to check those out on our audio platform. So Mark asks, "Good day, Mr. Davis. Can't sleep down under. Happy Father's Day. Who is your favorite Steelers player, and does it rhyme with Horton Cherry? Just kidding. Enjoy the show." So, man, he's trying to pump up his Australian punter, Jordan Berry, Dad.
Well, no, I have a few favorites, and I'll mention a couple of them. First of all, Terry Bradshaw, Franco Harris, which was interesting is Franco Harris played for Penn State, and in those days when he was playing, you didn't see them on television. So I had no idea what Franco Harris looked like. And I thought he was Irish.
O'Harris. Franco Harris.
So that's interesting. And one of the knocks on Franco Harris, and I think it was unfortunate that people would, if Franco didn't think that he could make another 2 yards, he'd step out of bounds. And of course, we all know that lengthened his career. Why take a hit when, it's not going to be beneficial? Now, there are running backs that will take the hit and make 5 or 6 yards, but you don't see them playing 8, 10 years, 12 years as a running back.
So let me ask you this. We talked about, and I know I could name 10, 12 other Steelers, and you'll tell me how much you love them, because I do too. But you know what? Let me bring up one. Do you remember the first Steelers autograph signing you ever took me to? It was at Glosser Brothers in Johnstown.
On the second floor, I believe.
On the second floor,
yeah.
And it was 1980. And that line wrapped all the way down the escalator, all around to see this man. And who was it?
I think it was L.C. Greenwood.
It was L.C. Greenwood.
And the funny thing about that was he saw that watch that we were talking about that I wore to Disney World, and wanted to know where I got it because he had never seen anything like that.
That's awesome. I forgot about that part. That's great. Do you know who my favorite Steeler of all time is?
No, I actually don't.
I don't have one because I can't. It's like picking which one of your kids you like more. Yeah. Well, I do that. I mean, I have one that I like more than the other, just like you do.
And neither one of you know for sure which one it is.
Exactly. Now, blessings to my sister Lisa out there too. Yeah, I'm not his favorite. Don't worry about that. But so let's talk about this. Your current favorite Steeler.
Ooh. It has to be Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, he's had a storied career, and he's had his share of problems. But I had met him, and he's very humble. I don't know whether people think he's cocky or not, but let's face it, when he came in and took over and won a Super Bowl in his first season, and he does have two, he is the rock around that offense, and he's definitely in command of the game. That's what I feel. I could be all wet on that, but I think that is important. One person I do want to mention is Frenchie Fuqua.
The Frenchman.
This guy, if some of you younger people don't know, was quite the dresser.
You younger people?
Younger, yeah.
You sound like an old man.
Oh, I am.
You kids, get off my lawn.
But Frenchie,
I think I'm an older man than you, actually.
Actually, Frenchie had a pair of shoes that had high heels, and they were like a block style, and he had goldfish in the heels. They were clear, and you could see them. And he was, along with being a very good football player, he was a fashion plate. So that was very interesting.
So, you know what? This is really funny because you remember that he called you on the phone, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I was at an autograph signing with him, and I had to drive him to the airport. Not had to. I got the honor to, because he was such a great guy. So he had talked about Mike Collier, who is lives here in Hagerstown, where I live, and he I told him about it, that he was here, and he said, "Man, I haven't talked to him in 30 years." And so I was able to get those two guys together. So I met him at another autograph signing, and I took him the Sports Illustrated that had Joe Green on the front, but in our article it had pictures of Frenchie and his wardrobe in it, and he still has those. Steeler fan 36 says this: Najee Harris is his new favorite. What are your thoughts on Najee? Because I know you and Noah, your grandson, my nephew, my godson, you're huge fans of that pick, weren't you?
Well, yeah, I was, but I'm waiting for validation, because I'm not going to jump on a bandwagon just yet. I'm hoping that he will be what he's said that he's going to be, but I don't know. The Claypool, what he showed in the last couple of years, I hope this guy can come along and be another spark.
I think they're going to be good together. I think that's going to be a really good offense, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to take a break, but before we do that, I want to bring back Steeler fan 36. Tales from 2 a.m. needs to have your dad every week. That would improve the show, wouldn't it? Steeler fan 36. I appreciate that. So I'm going to let you guys vote. Who should do the show every week? Should it be Bad or Dad? So I will let you guys decide. And it's funny, Dad, I got to tell you this, and I know it's not you because I've got a guy that comments on YouTube all the time so positively about me, and it makes me feel really good. And it's another Bill Davis.
Oh.
But it's not you because I know you have your icon next to it. I know you can't work YouTube, so I know that's not you, is it?
No.
So we've got another fan, not a fan, another one of our live chat mates here at BTSC, part of our BTSC family.
What is YouTube, by the way?
What is YouTube? It's
I actually know what it is, but to get on it and operate with it, that wouldn't be me.
So before we go to break, I used to have a nickname for you, and it coincided with a little bit with one of the Steelers. Do you remember what that was?
No.
Well, this started in 1992 when Bill Clinton was running for president. I started calling you Slick Willie.
Yeah.
For William Davis, but then I changed it to Fast Willie.
Yeah, Billy Parker.
Yes, there you go. That they're saying you have better stories, so I guess every week you report to me. You got to do the show now. So
okay,
we'll get the equipment in your.
I do have a lot of stories.
So we get another super chat from Dave Shipley. Dave, one of the greats in our family here in the live chat. Dave's taken me to a game.
Really?
Yeah, he's next time they play in Jacksonville.
Cool.
And how about that? And he's sending me something in the mail too. A great friend of the show. So you might have to pick now between me and Fast Willie here, Dave. But $5 and says a yes, Bad and Dad plus B and C. Is that for the Bad Company? That have we decided on that? What we're gonna name this show? I think. Sorry, we had some technical difficulties there, and guess what? I am able to go ahead and edit that out as well, so that's good. So I apologize. I was having trouble with the live chat, just hitting it. But so you guys can vote in the live chat who gets to go to the game with Dave next time they play in Jacksonville. But we're gonna go ahead and take a break, and what we're gonna do? Oh. Bad and Connor. That's what the BC was. And we're going to have to bring Connor out here too. And towards the end, we'll go ahead and do that. But let's take a break. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, just stick around. Download number 2 if you're on any of our audio platforms. Dad, tell them that we'll be right back.
We'll be right back
on BTSC Radio.
Yep.
Welcome back to Tales from 2 a.m. My name is Brian Anthony Davis. This is
Bill Davis.
Not William Leonard Davis?
Nah.
So here's a question, Dad. Why am I named Brian? Why am I named Brian Anthony?
Well, your mother and I were watching Brian's song on television one night, a story about Brian Piccolo and Gail Sayers. Brian,
Gail just died
yes,
a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I did know that. But Brian Piccolo was dying of testicular cancer, and it just touched us, both of us, and we decided to name you Brian. Now, Anthony comes from your grandfather, and my dad admonished me for calling you Brian Anthony Davis because he thought that you were going to get tagged with being bad.
And of course, I never heard that.
Oh yeah,
he wasn't around much to say anything,
but when he did, he definitely said things, and he says, "Why would you pin that on your son?" I says, "Well, we really didn't do that on purpose. There was a reason for both of the names, but." You've mentioned this before. Ironically, Brian Piccolo died of testicular cancer, and
it started with testicular,
yeah,
and but back then, it was a death sentence.
Yeah,
because it spread all the way up to his brain.
Yeah, well, the problem with that in those days is he didn't have a diagnosis until it was way too late. But anyway, ironically, you had testicular cancer. Of course, the outcome was a lot better.
18 years in another month.
Yeah.
So that's so I was what was the name I was almost, though? It wasn't Brian, because before that movie, it was something else.
I don't even remember.
It was Sean.
Oh, yes. And I had a problem with that name because I didn't want to name you SHAWN because I felt that was too feminine.
Which it's not.
But
especially
at that time,
we've got some Sean's in the live chat.
So. Well, I'm being honest, and I'm not trying to be detrimental to anybody else, but that was my feeling. And I didn't think SEAN, I thought would have too many problems with people not knowing what SEAN was. So that was kind of replaced.
Well, thank goodness for that movie, or we'd be having the show Sad and Dad if I was Sean Anthony Davis. So that would have not been good. So here we are. Happy Father's Day to everyone, and thanks for joining us today. Bad Dad, that's Ryan O'Toole, another one of our greats from our live chat. In fact, anybody that's in our live chat, they're greats because they're great fans. I'll also bring up your niece, who you got to see last week. Kim, making me happy hearing your voices. Love you both. So
it was great seeing you last week with you and Natalie. We had a great time.
So let's talk about this. Brian Brown says, 1980, the year that he became a Steelers fan. And Kim's also saying that's why her Sean is not Sean. So it's SEAN. So there you go. So this year's Steelers, Dad, what are your concerns about this Steelers team, or what's your excitement? Are you, when you're drinking your Steeler Kool-Aid,
okay,
is it half full or half empty?
Oh, I'm always half full. I'm never half empty. I get disappointed on game days sometime, and there are times when I'm just elated. But as far as this year, I'm really happy that Roethlisberger is coming back. And I am happy for the Steelers who could have left and wouldn't. You have Steeler players that would not ever play for anybody else.
Vince Williams?
Yeah. I mean, those are the people that you have to embrace.
Tyson Alualu? Man, he was gone.
Yeah, and he came back. I mean, he really never even consummated the deal.
Yep.
But
actually, I said that wrong. Alu. Dave Schofield's always on me for that, and he's right. It's Alu. I mess that up all the time.
But I'm always half full. We do need a running back that is consistent. and the people who left, I don't have a problem with at all, because although we feel that they belong to us, they have responsibilities to their families also, and they have to follow their heart and the business sense. Because they may make a lot of money, some of them, but it's short-lived. You can have an injury that can take you out in a minute. So
Bud Dupree will always be a favorite Steeler of mine, and when he comes running into Heinz Field next year, I'll be up and I'll be elated.
Yeah, I was hoping that he wouldn't leave, but like I said, you have to follow what is best for you.
So, and you mentioned the running game. I think that's going to improve. I think Najee Harris is going to be a superstar. I know you're putting a wait and see, but I know you were happy on. Steelers usually don't take a running back in the first round. The last time they did that was 2008.
Yeah.
So, what do you like about this kid? Because I don't know if you heard this, but the running backs coach said to him, Eddie Faulkner said to him, "It's like, you got to go home. I got to go home to my family. You've got to get out of here because your kid wants to practice all the time." So, what does work ethic? How do you think that equates to great play?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's never going to dull your senses. It's never going to make you more confident, because if you feel that you need that extra work, it's going to help you. Antonio Brown, I'm sure he's a sore spot on a lot of people here.
Not as much. It used to be. I kind of goes back and forth. Le'Veon Bell is now back on the. He's kind of on the poop list now. I would say he's in the Steeler doghouse, but Antonio Brown, some people would welcome back in a heartbeat. Some people, I actually was happy to see him win a Super Bowl. But I think you have a theory on the source of his behavior over the last 5 years or so.
Well, first of all, I want to get back to his work ethic. Okay. He had a work ethic that was just next to none. I went to a lot of practices in Latrobe, and they'd be done, and he'd be standing beside the ball launcher 3 feet away, and that ball coming out 30 miles an hour or so. And he'd be doing 100 reps with that. And as far as his fans were concerned, he was the last one off the field at training camp, giving autographs and smiling and having a great time. My theory is the hit that he took from Burfict, that vicious hit that should have never happened. And as far as I'm concerned, he should have been banned for life for that hit alone, instead of waiting a couple of years after he kept his bad practices. That hit that he took injured his brain, and his problems all started after that.
He did have an ego, but not in the locker room. But I agree with you. It kind of got worse after that. So that leads me to my next question. Vontaze Burfict. Is that, I would say, would that be your most hated Steeler opponent of all time?
Yeah, he is definitely number one. And I have a problem with another player, but he escapes me. And
was it from the 70s or recently?
Oh, it was more recently.
Pac-Man Jones?
No, this one was a big lineman type, and he would tramp on someone's fingers on purpose.
I'm having trouble thinking about who that is.
He would jump on someone's calf. just to punish him, and he wasn't even in on the play. And
Richie, was it not Richie Incognito? Was it
No,
Richie Incognito?
no.
I'm not sure. I thought you were going to say this guy, and Dave Shipley's asking too.
Well, Jack Tatum, he hit hard, but he wasn't. They called him the assassin, but he was going after the play, and his punishment came during a legitimate play, as I remember it. Of course, I love him for the Immaculate Reception.
Yeah, and Frenchie will never tell.
No.
What really happened, because he's the only one alive that knows for sure, because Jack passed away a few years ago.
Yeah. Well, Jack never had any remorse for anything, though. It was his job, and he took it as that. And yes, he was brutal, but most of his brutality came with legitimacy. Later on,
I remember they interviewed him at halftime when the Steelers played the Seahawks in the Super Bowl, and he was going through a lot of health problems, and but he had a lot of regrets later on. But on the field back then, no, he was an assassin, and that was his job. And we had those guys on our team in the 70s too. We had assassins on that team. One of probably the nicest men in football was Donnie Shell, and he's finally going to the Hall of Fame. And by the way, a lot of people are saying you're thinking of Ndamukong Suh. And
yes, exactly. Thank you very much. But that's exactly who I was thinking of. And he did that stuff. He'd walk 15 feet to tramp on someone, and he got warned. It didn't work.
All right. So the live chat knows who I hate these days. I've got a guy that I hate more than anybody, and he's the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. What are your thoughts on Baker Mayfield?
Prima donna, not worth the money they paid for.
I challenged him to a fight on a show 2 years ago, which, thank God. Would have I won that fight?
Probably not.
No, absolutely not. No, that would have been stupid. Funny is that? We're having a lot of fun here. Dave Shipley asked a question. What are your thoughts of the NFL moving to 17 games now?
I kind of think that it's all right. I don't know why they went to 17. They should have went. I'm a man of uniformity. I think the odd number is going to bite some people, but it didn't help us with our schedule this year. I think coming up with that, when they did, they should have had a couple of years before that went into motion.
It's not definite to stay, so it's kind of a trial. So we'll look at that. We'll look at that. That might be gone in a few years. Brian Brown says, no, not bad too. I swear I am named Brian because of the same movie. You can't make this stuff up. No, if you've never seen Brian's song, it's you're not getting out without a box of tissues.
No,
so
or two.
So now we're talking about players. When was the maddest? And I want to elaborate. I mean, go ahead. You don't have to elaborate, but when was the angriest you've ever seen me watching a football game?
Well, you didn't like. No. No, you didn't like Tim Worley, and it just
he fumbled a lot.
Yeah,
and he would. And I remember they were playing Houston. It was in Houston, 1990. They needed to win that game, and he fumbled. He had 2 fumbles in that game, and I was I think I was throwing stuff, and I usually don't do that during games, do I?
Well, no, I was throwing stuff too, and one was you out.
Yeah, you kicked me out of the room. He kicked me out of the room because I was just being obnoxious. I never did that again, but I guess I never too old. I was in college doing that, and never too old to learn my lesson, I guess. So, Dad, we're gonna go ahead and wrap some things up. Do you have any other thoughts about the Steelers this year?
Well, I have I can't remember dates like you do, but I have one memory. I have two nephews, and they're your cousins.
I was going to bring this up, yeah.
And they lived in Dallas.
You can say their names.
Vincent and David Barry. And
Vincent is an author. If you like professional wrestling, he's an author. And David just he's deputy sheriff and just retired from a Texas sheriff's department. So
and also another love of mine, he's an ex-Marine. Or no, I'm sorry, you're never an ex-Marine. He was a former Marine.
So this I'll tell you the exact day. This was October 24th, 2004, because it was the 25th anniversary of the Pirates winning the World Series.
Well, David had a very bad motorcycle accident that year, and his brother, who is not as much of a fan of the sport as David is, said that he would take him to a game. Well, when they went to the game, Vincent parked very far away because he didn't want to pay more money to park. And David was having a lot of trouble walking at the time. So they went to the game.
What team?
Dallas Cowboys.
Pittsburgh, Dallas, 2004. Ben's rookie year.
Yeah, well, that game was very interesting because the last 2 minutes, they were at least 12 behind?
They were 10 down.
10 down.
Maybe 11, but I think 10.
And there was less than 2 minutes to go. So Vincent says, let's beat the rush and let's go to the car. So they're walking to the car, and I get a telephone call. And the game had just ended. It was, Uncle Bill, we beat you, blah, blah. I says, where are you? We're in the parking lot. I said, you didn't stay for the end of the game? He says, no. I says, when you get to the car, put on the radio and then call me back.
But the game wasn't over yet?
No.
But the game wasn't over, but you just said, thank you.
Yeah. But anyway, they got on, they couldn't believe it. When they got to the car and put the radio on, they just could not believe that they had lost in that last, because it was a grudge for them. They had to beat me, even though I have nothing to do with them, but they had to beat the biggest Steeler fan they knew. And they sent me cups and everything afterwards. But anyway, it was fun.
Because you never celebrate till there's zeros on the clock.
Or that lady that is singing.
Yeah. Dave Shipley gives us $5. Says the maddest he's ever been at a Steelers game was watching Neil O'Donnell. Those picks. Ugh.
Oh.
What are your thoughts on Neil O'Donnell?
Oh, I think I usually am not this way. It really looked like he threw that game.
Oh, Steelers fan 36 agrees with you. He was not paid off. Come on.
The truth of the matter is, after I have educated myself, is the receiver, and I can't remember who it was.
Corey Holiday.
He ran the wrong route.
But no, the first interception was Neil O'Donnell's fault.
But the one that made us think that he got paid off was, and that was wasn't that against
Dallas?
Dallas also.
Yeah. Now, if Ernie Mills doesn't get his ACL slashed in the second or third quarter of that game, Corey Holliday's not running that route. That's a different game, but ifs and buts, candy and nuts.
Yeah.
Oh, what a 7th Super Bowl ring we would have had.
Yeah.
But
I've been wanting to make this jersey
okay, here.
an antique for quite a few years. And I'm still wearing it. 6 stands for 6 Super Bowls. And
It's not Bobby Brewster, Duck Hodges?
Oh, no. I'd never celebrate Bobby Brewster. But I do want to turn around and see if you can get a picture of my back.
All right, there we go. Super Bowl champs with all of the patches on there. And wow, who bought you that? You must have paid a lot of money for that.
I think it was my son.
I guess so. So
it's my favorite son.
I'm your only son.
Well,
So go get your brother. So what I want to do here is thank everybody in our Steeler family, our BTSC family, for coming out, checking out this show. You bleed black and gold if you're checking us out on a Sunday morning. Sure, mini camp, everything's going to heat up. We're going to have a lot of stuff. But thanks for indulging me, Bad, and Dad. And Dad mentioned about my health, what I went through 18 years ago. Dad got me through that. I talk a little bit more about that on Steelers, Dad's kids and the Steelers. And so I want to thank you, Dad, for being an awesome dad. And if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be blessed with having this wonderful family. So I want to bring in everybody's talking about BNC. They want to so I want to bring out Connor and I want to bring out Jilly. Well, Jilly's throwing a Steelers shirt at him. He doesn't have to put a Steelers shirt on. That's fine. And this is my little girl. This is Jilly. And Dobby the dog's in here too, as we're getting a little crazy. But kids, I love you. Dad, I love you. Thank you. And thanks for making this a wonderful Father's Day as well. So, okay, we're arguing on the show. So, hey, they made us breakfast, Dad.
oh, can't wait.
How about that? So we're going to go join Mom. We're going to join Mrs. Bad. We're going to join the kids and have a great breakfast. But thank you all, BTSC Nation, for hanging out with us today. You know we love you. Thanks for welcoming my dad. I appreciate it. Dad, happy Father's Day.
Thank you. Same to you. And I really enjoy this. I hope maybe we can do this again.
Yeah, well, we'll have to sign you to a contract. We'll negotiate the contract over breakfast.
Okay.
So with that being said, I need you to do 3 things. I need you to 1, be safe. 2, always be true to yourself. And 3, always be behind the steel curtain. I love you. Happy Father's Day, everybody. Blessings to you all. We'll see you.
Bye-bye, everybody.